Hello everyone and welcome to our Webinar Wednesday series. I show a couple minutes past the hour now, so we'll go ahead and begin. Today our topic is IBM Cognos Insight. My name is Charlie Peterson and I work in the Sales and Marketing Division of Brightstar Partners and BSP Software. And I'm joined today by Ivan Aguilera, Partner Enablement Manager for IBM Business Analytics out of Miami. Ivan, thanks for joining us today and taking us through Cognos Insight. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you for having me today here. And thank you all for joining.
Sure. So for everyone's benefit, our agenda today will be to do a quick background on BSP, as well as Cognos Insight, and Ivan will then take us through the technical demonstration covering the installation, connection, and implementation of the solution. At the end of the demonstration, we will have a time for Q&A, so please take a moment to observe the questions pane in your GoToWebinar toolbar, where you can post your questions for us to address at that time. After Q&A, we will probably be near our slated 45 minutes for the webinar, but we hope everyone can stick around for a moment longer as we will conclude the presentation today with a glimpse into the IBM Cognos Insight Labs to show you the future of this powerful solution. As advertised, we are happy to provide all attendees with a free 30-day trial of Cognos Insight as well. And we will be sending out a specific URL for you to access this download from analyticszone.com. And this unique URL spares you any solicitation from IBM and the ability to work with BSP directly for product discounts. So certainly be on the lookout for that unique link to hit your inbox before the weekend. And if you do not already have an account on analyticszone.com, you will need to create one for free to access that download, and we'll send that information along in the email. Ivan, let's go ahead and move to the next slide, and I'll give a quick background on BSP and then turn things over to you. Brightstar Partners and BSP Software, collectively BSP, is comprised of 4 departments. First, we are a professional services organization implementing the full suite of IBM Cognos products. So we have an incredible team of Cognos experts in-house that are out in the field performing reporting and modeling projects, Cognos upgrades, on-site training courses, and technical workshops. Through our implementation, by seeing either what we felt were gaps in technology or just simply areas where we could automate time-consuming tasks, that's what led us to build our implementation-based software solutions. Products such as MetaManager or the Integrated Control Suite are robust and patented technologies addressing areas such as security administration, documentation, global report validations due to changes in your model, version control, change management, and also a Cognos Recycle Bin for accidental deletions, just a wealth of automation tools and extensions to IBM Cognos out of the box. And you can see pre-recorded demos of these solutions on our product website at bspsoftware.com. We are also IBM Cognos resellers and in the top 10% in North America for incremental licensing and support renewal needs. And so as a premier business partner of IBM, we're always granted a greater level of discounting to our customers for licensing and ongoing support. So we ask just to please include us in your licensing bids or create a reminder in your calendar to just give us a call when your support renewal comes around. Finally, we also own and host Cognoids.com, which is the largest peer-to-peer site on the web for quick questions and answers on all things Cognos related. And that's independent of IBM. It may be an easier outlet for you than IBM Support Portal if you just need a quick answer before you leave work for the day. So that concludes my relatively short introduction. Let's get to the real reason why we are all here today. Ivan, this presentation belongs to you and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Charlie. And welcome everyone, and thank you for attending today. So I'll be taking you through an overview of Cognos Insight, which was the latest addition to our family of products. The product was released back in February, and we just recently had a refresh on the product. And the reason for this product to exist is because we know that people all around in different companies all around the world have the same need to access information, and it usually doesn't reside all on corporate systems. Some information is available in other systems. Even local systems on their own machines. So we know this is happening all over the place. And of course, being proactive users, what they usually tend to do, and there is nothing wrong with it, you resort to spreadsheets on Excel to serve your purposes and create your reports. And that's something very standard. It happens everywhere at all companies, which is great for data interactivity, but it has some limited visualizations, and it can't really help you with complex analysis, and also with sharing information. If it's 2 or 3 people, that's okay, but when you have 10 or more people sharing Excel spreadsheets, then it becomes a problem to try to track who made what changes. On the other hand, users usually don't know what they're looking for until they see it. This is something very common. You start in a place and you start, moving things around until you find that something really strikes your attention. And you can't wait also for your IT department to have tons of requests and a long log of IT requirements to fulfill to build that perfect application. So what we've seen is that not only does users onto Excel, but they also find some other data discovery tools which are great for visualizations, but then they have limited data interactivity. They're local. They just you just have to input data directly or read from an Excel file, but that's the extent of what it can do, and it makes it harder to share with others or to create actual complex applications with those limited tools. So what we saw in the market was an area where we could continue to help our users and our customers to understand and make better decisions, but we needed to somehow fulfill this complete data interactivity and analysis and create something that would allow you to do visualizations that are really eye openers, but at the same time they had to be very easy to create. And of course, last but not least, you should be able to take some action with that information that you're looking for. So what we needed was something that joined both the spreadsheet world and the data discovery tool world into one single product. And this is what Cognos Insight is right now the only desktop product that we know of that empowers decision makers. It will take you all the way from getting insight from the information and all the data that you have in your systems, be them corporate or local, all the way into making something with it, taking action with information that you're looking for. And of course, Cognos Insights allows you to access the data in different sources, and we were going to talk about it. Then it allows you to analyze the information that you're looking at from different views and different angles, visualize and give them a nice format, and then share as a team that information with other users. So a great interactive tool. You start with the insight by exploring and visualizing, and of course, like I said before, you can do what-if scenario and planning, and even share taking action with that information that you're looking at. A little bit more detail on each of the areas that Cognos Insight covers. You'll see that in my presentation, you can drag and drop data. You can create filters. Some of them are smart, automatically created for you. You can add compelling visuals and charts and themes to give colors or a nice presentation. You can create scenarios by changing the data or creating new columns that did not exist on your original data. You could use it as a tool to create plans or budgets and even share with others. And even if you do have a centralized server you can connect to, then you could use this as an inputting tool. And you can, of course, exchange the files that once you create your workspace, you can share with others by publishing back to a server. So everything that is included here on the same product. And not to bore you to death with PowerPoint, I'm just going to jump directly into the product. Minimize here. And I have Cognos Insight open here. So this is the environment. I am on Windows. This is a Cognos Insight environment. As you can see here, I can create a new workspace from different themes that come with the product. You can create your own, but there is different themes that come with the product. You can always open the last ones you have worked with. And if you want to create a new one, then all you need to do, and I'm going to do the very simple first one sample, is just to drag and drop a CSV file into the tool. And this CSV file, by the way, I'm just going to open it with Excel so you see what it contains. It's just some simple columns with data on them. Okay, so all I did is I took this CSV file and I dragged it and I dropped it directly on Cognos Insight. And immediately it gave me a view of the data where it's crossing the first two dimensions that it found on the data. It's giving me quarters and measures in columns and rows. Now, that's your first look at the data, and you may want to move around and start exploring this data. And how do you do that? It's very simple. You just take the dimension that you care for, and let's open it so you see what it contains. This is a file that contains different types of products related with electronics and office supplies and what have you. I also have here a column that only has one level, so I'm not going to care about this one too much. I have a column with 3 different sales channels. I have a dimension here with different customer types. So it looks like I have enough information that I can drag and drop this information around and make some kind of exploration. And I'll do that, just that. So very easily, just drag and drop, and immediately everything starts changing around. You can see that there is a immediate response on Cognos Insight for the information that you're dragging and dropping. Since we said we had different product types, I could just drag this here. I could, of course, nest. There is no reason why you wouldn't want to do this, but you can see immediately that I can start having insight into my data by looking at all the different areas, and it's probably something that I would have taken a long time creating a query and maybe bringing all this information to Excel and trying to figure it out in a different way. Like I said before, I can nest, for example, if I want to see not only revenue but revenue and cost. I have another measure here, the count, so I know how many of these customer types I have under each product type. So I can move around. I can swap rows and columns very easily just by clicking. I can change the style just by applying a workspace theme. For example, focus. Apparently this background is very popular these days, or this other background which gives us a little bit of color. So I can leave that there. And again, I can keep on looking at this information and maybe getting rid of something I don't want to see. I just click and delete, and I don't see it anymore. I can take 2 columns, and let me put it this way, and I can take 2 columns and maybe create a calculation. And you can see that some of the calculations are already available, but I can create my own if I want to. In this case, I could create one called revenue minus cost, just to have the margin here. And let's call it margin. And as I change things around, this will keep on existing because I have created it for all my my views of the data that is available. Now, having said this, and let me show you one more thing here. Automatically, by default, it creates an Explore pane to the left where you can filter everything that you're looking at in your workspace. Okay, so if I were to say I only want branded stores, I just click on it. It immediately filters everything else. Okay, I can shut off the filter and everything will come back to where it was. I can filter in a month. Directly, everything will filter. I can also, of course, filter on a product type and see which stores are selling this product type. Now, this is all by default. And you may ask yourself, yeah, this is very nice, but what if the drag and drop didn't work? So, okay, I'm going to close this. I can, of course, save my changes, but in this case, I'm just going to close it because I want to show you a little bit more of a different example. So I'm back again on my workspace. It's empty. I don't have anything here. And what if I were to bring a file that when I bring it, instead of creating automatically something, it gives me a warning and says, hey, your file contains more than 10 dimensions. Now I'm having to work through my import step by step. It automatically looked at the different columns and decided that, okay, so I have some columns that look like measures. That's fine. I have some columns that look like dimension, which is also fine. But however, I have more than 10. And it's not that I can't bring more than 10 columns. The problem is automatically it will give you a warning and say, by the way, you're creating something with more than 10 dimensions. Is this what you want to do? And I can see here that I have city, country, and territory. That's probably a hierarchy. I also have product type and category, product category under products. That should be a hierarchy. They shouldn't be dimensions by themselves. So a way to fix this is just to click on Advanced. And now I'll just make this a little bit bigger so it looks better. And now all you have to do is just by, again, clicking and dragging, okay, you can create the different levels for the different dimensions that you want. For example, I can take quarters and bring it underneath year, if my mouse helps me here. Okay, and insert the level underneath year, because I know the year is going to be subdivided in quarters. Same thing if I had months, I could do it. Now, if I had an item here, original column that was a date, it would have done it automatically for me. I wouldn't have to do this. Okay. Now I can see channels or different shops. I'm not going to change that. I have different scenarios. Best case, probably. I'm not going to change that. I'm just going to minimize them. I already work with year. Now let's work with product. So I can see, and because I have this view up here that tells me what each column is about, I can see that there's a product category, and then there's a product type, and then there's a product. I'm pretty sure that I can probably assume that this is a hierarchy, and if I know the data that I am importing, of course I can assume many different things. But let's assume for this time being that I am just adding this as a level for my product. Oops, there we go. So I have product category, and I'll bring in also product type. Oops, I drag it exactly where I need it to. Again, there. And finally, I'm going to drag product and insert it as a level underneath. And there you go. Okay. This dimension doesn't give me much. It says geography all. I can choose not to map. To say don't bring me that one. I don't care much for that one. Now I have territories. I could do the same thing. Country within each territory, which and then of course cities within countries. And now I have less dimensions, which is also something that makes it easier for users to view the information on. And now I can import. It will run. It will create the cube. And again, I will be presented with the different, let's put here, products. As you can see, I have all the products with all the sub-products with different scenarios. I can change this to channels, again, drag and drop. I can see some channels sell more products than others. I can choose to expand to any level in particular, let's say category. I'm just looking at category. Right now I'm looking at units sold. I can see count how many products I've sold on each one. I can see this one. Retailers seems to be selling more electronics than the rest. I can change, of course, the type of chart, line, the pie, area, etc. You choose, give it a nice 3D look, and that would be important directly with the wizard. Now there is more. You may ask yourself, I'm sure you do, can I just read CSV files? Of course not. You can add data, import data from different sources. The first one is indeed a file, but you can also have a relational data source, which means through an ODBC I can connect to any database that I may have in it could be a an Access database, but of course it could be Oracle, it could be SQL Server, anything that I have an ODBC for. And I can connect here and test the connection, and once it's done, then it would show me the different columns that I have available. And I have a query builder, so I can create my own query directly to the database if I know what the name of the database is and I have an ODBC connection. Another source, if you're already a Cognos customer, you may have a report, and it would connect to this Cognos server, and it would bring me the different columns that are available in the report. So instead of having to download information to an Excel spreadsheet, you would directly have access to that information from a report that comes from your trusted data source. And finally, another source of information is a TM1Q, which is also a Cognos source. If you are a customer that already has TM1, you can connect to TM1 directly using Cognos Insight as your front end. So there you go. There you have different sources that you can connect to. Now, once you create your workspace, there's more things you can do with it. Like, for example, I can just minimize here and maybe let me do something here. I'm just gonna I have 3/4. I have territories. Okay, so let's drag this one outside, and now I have a filter that I could choose from. Make it a little bit bigger so you can see what it is. So I have different territory, the country, and the city. If I were to filter on one, immediately everything else will be filtered for that. I can, of course, also do a control click and filter on several different options, and then again everything would be affected, and it's showing me on this 4 territories what I have sold. If I were to expand the products and view each product individually, I could do that. I can turn off the filter very easily by just clicking on the filter, and I'll be back to where I was before. So there's many options that you can create here views from, and like I said, you can at this point apply a Workspace theme, or you may want to decide to, I'm going to save it first, just save it as a test. Okay, and now that it's saved, I could want to share this. Again, when I share, I would be connecting. If I have a Cognos server, I could connect to the server, I could log in into that server, and would be able to put that in the CDD file, which is the workspace that I just created, into the server, so anyone else can download it. And if they have the appropriate licensing and they have Cognos Insight, they could open this file. That's one way of sharing. There's also a publish. And for those of you that already have Cognos, again, this would publish into TM1. And now this cube that we have created here locally, and mind you, of course, would mean that we would have permission and authority to save into the server, and that's something that the administrator would have done beforehand. We could save into the TM1 server, and now your cube could be part of the regular application of the whole company, and more users could connect to it and maybe enter information directly into it. Now, at this point in time, I would like to pause and see if there's any questions.
Yeah, thanks, Ivan. So we actually have a lot of questions that have come up, so we won't be able to maybe address all of them in this time right now, but I do want us to highlight a few, some of the more general ones that I think will be applicable to everyone. First of which, and I think some of these perhaps you covered in the demo as well, but it's good for us to go back over. What platforms does Cognos Insight work with?
Okay, so Cognos Insight is a Windows-only tool. The idea is that any user could download this tool into their laptop or desktop and start working with information that they may have available and start creating their analysis, and if they choose to do so, they could even share this with other users. So it is a Windows desktop tool.
Great. Second question was, and I think you covered this a moment ago perhaps, is what data sources does it connect to again?
Okay, so like I said, we can connect obviously to flat files like a text file, a CSV, an Excel file, all those, and through ODBC to any known database that has an ODBC. And we have a wizard that will allow you to create a query against that database and maybe join different tables. But of course, that requires you to understand a bit more about the database that you're accessing.
Okay.
And of course the Cognos data sources, of course.
Okay.
On top of that. Yeah.
Now, Ivan, do they need to have Cognos previously installed to use Cognos Insight? And if so, what version or modules do they need?
Okay, so if anyone listening is not a customer, you will be receiving an invitation to join a website called analyticszone.com from Brightstar, and that will give you access to download this tool, and you'll see that, oh, by the way, we'll go through the installation process in a bit, so you can see what it looks like. You'll be able to download that information, that product, and install it on your desktop, and off you go. You can see the samples that come with the product. You can create your own. There are some limitations on that version. Since it's free, you can only use it for personal use. You won't be able to share outside of your own
Great.
Desktop.
Okay. And we're still seeing a lot of questions roll in, and thank you everyone for submitting those questions again. And we will be following up with each of you to answer your questions directly as GoToWebinar is tracking and documenting these questions that come in. So right now, yeah, Ivan, why don't you pop open Analytics Zone for a moment?
Yeah, exactly.
And I'll reiterate to everyone that we will be sending out an email. So you'll be receiving an email from Brightstar Partners with your unique URL to log into Analytics Zone and have access to this download void of the solicitation from IBM. So it's sort of a perk of working through a partner. But Ivan, I'll let you speak through this a moment.
Yes, and so analyticszone.com is a website that we created so users like yourselves could log in with no obligation and download this demo. Not a demo, it's the actual application, but it's with some restrictions, and start working with it, and even share and ask questions to the forum of other users that have already created stuff, and even download examples of applications. And they're there are several applications. There's some of them complex, and you'll find them once you get to Analytics Zone. So like I said before, you'll receive this link on an email by Brightstar. If I were to click here, I would be taken directly to the website, and I'm going to do it just to show that this is a live demonstration, and we should be taken to the website in a second. But anyway, while it does that, you'll see that you must register. Internet Explorer trying to protect me. So here I am. So you can register. You need to register, okay, and then you can download from here, and you'll get that link from Brightstar. And I encourage you to just. There's no obligation here. It won't cost you anything. We won't ask you for your credit card or anything like it. All you need to do is to go there and download the product. Now, once you download it and you save it somewhere in on your desktop, let's say you do that, and then you have it on your desktop, you'll find that there is an issetup.exe file. Just click on it. It will show you the installation wizard, and it will take you, through the steps of installing. And I've taken the liberty of putting some slides here because it's very simple. There's a license agreement. You agree that you're going to do this for your own use. Blah blah blah. You choose where you want the location. You can choose any hard drive with enough space on it that doesn't require too much. And then it will create the directory if needed, and then it will progress until it takes you to the end. And that's it. It's very simple to install, very easy to do.
Great. And again, everyone will be receiving that unique URL from BSP. So the URL will be in there, the download instructions. So BSP will be able to be your one-stop shop for the download, the support, and also if you should choose after the trial evaluation, the purchase of Cognos Insight as well. And again, that goes back to us having the premier business partner status with IBM, that we are always granted those greater levels of discounting to our customers. So it makes IBM happy, we make them money, it makes our customers happy, we save them money. So definitely keep that in mind. And before we adjourn today, we want to make sure everyone has a way of contacting us directly regarding Cognos Insight, our BSP software solutions, services, or Cognos licensing needs and your support renewals. And you can send your questions into us at sales@bspsoftware.com, or you can contact us at the number that you see on your screen. Again, thank you all for joining the webinar today covering Cognos Insight.